And this Monday morning, let's get you all the updates coming in from Maharashtra. Eknath Shinde will be facing a floor test in the assembly in a matter of hours from now. He's got the numbers, and what comes is another crushing blow for the Uddhav Sena. Rahul Narvekar, the newly elected speaker, has recognized the Shinde Sena as the real Shiv Sena. The newly elected speaker served a notice to 16 MLAs from Uddhav's camp after the complaint by the Shinde camp whip. The speaker now is likely to move for the disqualification. If they vote against the party line in the floor test today, there will be a whip issued very clearly saying MLAs must choose to vote for Eknath Shinde. It's unlikely that the Uddhav Sena will do that, but then they will be disqualified. Eknath Shinde, meanwhile, has been reinstated as the Sena legislative leader. His choice, his nominee, Bharat Gogavle, has been recognized as the chief whip. And amid this Sena versus Sena fight, at least 4 MPs backing Uddhav have suggested that the former Maharashtra Chief Minister reconcile with the Shinde faction. The reasoning that they're citing is the upcoming BMC polls. Sources have suggested, however, that at this point neither side is keen on a patch-up or on a reconciliation. As far as the floor test is concerned, the Shinde camp has the numbers. The Shinde BJP side won in the speaker elections, but they in fact had 164 votes on their side. The opposition had 107. So they sailed through in the speaker election. Expect similar numbers in today's trust vote as well. NCP chief Sharad Pawar, meanwhile, has lashed out at Shinde Sarkar, saying that the government will fall in a matter of 6 months and has asked NCP party workers to be ready for midterm polls. Deepak Kesarkar of, in fact, the Shinde Sena is joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Kesarkar, good morning. What do you think will play out in the floor test today? Does your side, combined with the BJP, have comfortable majority?
Yeah, of course, we have a comfortable majority. And yesterday you must have realized during the election of the Speaker of the House, it was clearly shown that we have a complete majority. And I think whatever being told, I just heard you saying that this government will fall. How the government will fall when the number is so big? And then people are optimistic. Pawar sir is a great leader. He will have to keep his party intact. So these kind of statements are to be made to keep the morale of the party workers high. And that must be the only intention.
Mr. Kesarkar, are you aiming for a reconciliation, for a patch-up, and for the Shiv Sena to come together again? Are you for that?
Madam, we may feel it, but, it is for the higher authorities to decide because, this is not dependent on me. This is not like, we have gone away from them, but they will have to show, a larger heart. He's head of the family. So that he will have to decide. And the further negotiations, whatever he wants to have, because we are now in Sena and BJP alliance. And the government is also Sena and Union alliance. Sena and BJP together. So both of the parties will have to speak and take a decision because it is for Mr. Shinde and Mr. Fadnavis and then top authorities like Modi Sahib and Amit Ji and Nadda Ji, all of them to take a call. I don't think they share very good relations. Politics is like this that anything could happen anytime. So I have a small person like me should not make any comment on this.
Sir, if the MLAs who are backing Uddhav Thackeray right now choose to defy the Chief Whip's order, Mr. Gogavle's order, on today's trust vote, are you going to be pushing for their disqualification completely?
Madam, voting is one thing and disqualification is another thing. There is a procedure for disqualification. Is notice to be given. He should be given a chance of hearing. And then you will have to approach the authority, that is chairperson of Vidhan Sabha Assembly, Legislative Assembly, and he also gives the time, and then the action is taken. I think this should not be come to this extent. We really feel that we have the majority. Whether the action is to be taken or not, it is for the party chief to decide. So our legislative assembly leader is Eknath Shinde, and he will have to take appropriate decision.
Mr. Kesarkar, you, Mr. Eknath Shinde, have won the numbers game very clearly. Today, that will be sealed or established more or less. Mr. Eknath Shinde is also the Chief Minister, but right now, there's a larger focus. There's still a fight that's playing out over who's the real Shiv Sena. But amid that, could there be repercussions in the upcoming BMC polls for your side, for Uddhav Thackeray's side, for the BJP as well? Because the vote bank that, very clearly votes on some specific issues, the Hindutva vote bank, for example, do you think that will be split? And will that be a base for reconciliation for a patch-up?
Madam, as I told you earlier, these things are to be considered and a patch-up is to be done because that is my own personal view. But whether it would happen or not, I cannot say because people were dissatisfied with the kind of treatment the partners in this Mahavikas Aghadi were giving them. That was one cause. And they are natural allies. That is another point. So considering both, I think they should take an appropriate decision. And it is for them because it is for the leaders to decide what is to be done. And if it happens, then with the parties with the same ideology could come together. That is also possible. But it is for the highest authorities to decide. So let me not comment on that.
All right, Mr. Deepak Kesarkar, thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us here in India today. All the very best to you and your side for the floor test today, because it will come down to the numbers in the Maharashtra Assembly, which Eknath Shinde maintains very confidently that he has. And the reason for that is also the Speaker election that happened over the weekend in the Assembly. The BJP Shinde Sena's side was backing Rahul Narvekar, and with 160 plus votes, they ensured that he is now the Speaker in the Maharashtra Assembly.
Fadnavis Sarkar has passed the first litmus test, comfortably bagging the Speaker's post after some drama in the Assembly.
मतदानामध्ये पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर होत नाही. मतदान प्रक्रियेत पॉइंट ऑफ ऑर्डर होत नाही.
Eyeing the smooth sailing next for the vote of confidence on Monday. From the very start, Shinde camp was confident of the win in Speaker elections. After the rebel MLAs trooped into the Assembly, the division of votes threw up a clear winner. BJP MLA Rahul Narvekar garnered 164 votes, while Mahavikas Aghadi's Ranjan Salvi secured 107. MLAs from the Saffron Party, Shinde camp, Bahujan Vikas Aghadi and independents helped Rahul in securing the win.
एकनाथ संभाजी शिंदे 1, देवेंद्र गंगाधरराव फडणवीस 2.
Jai Bhavani, Jai Shivani slogans echoed in the Assembly.
या पदाला एक गौरवशाली परंपरा.
Chief Minister Shinde called his faction True Shiv Sena and his government fulfillment of Bala Sahib Thakray's vision.
मगाशी म्हटल्याप्रमाणे मावळणकर हे सन 1937 मध्ये पहिल्यांदा
AIMIM and SP with 2 members each abstained from voting, calling both Sena and BJP pro-Hindutva parties.
जानबूझकर के मुसलमानों को अलग थलग करने की, और खासतौर से देख रहा हूँ बीजेपी और शिवसेना उद्धव ठाकरे साहब ने, और अभी तो ये भी आगे शिंदे साहब भी आगे होड़ लगी कि कौन सबसे बड़ा हिंदुत्व है. अरे हिंदुत्व गलत चीज नहीं है, लेकिन नफरत फैलाना गलत है. निपुण शर्मा ने इतनी गलत बातें बोला, लेकिन आज तक ये लोग कभी नहीं बोलते कि उसको अरेस्ट करना चाहिए. इसलिए हमने तटस्थ रह के अपनी भूमिका निभाई है.
Rebels who are hopeful of getting the tag of real Shiv Sena were delighted. Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis congratulated 45-year-old Narvekar, calling him the youngest speaker in the country. Narvekar, curiously, is the son-in-law of senior NCP leader, the chairman of the Legislative Council. Uddhav Sena, which lost power and now faces threat of losing control of Shiv Sena, slammed the Fadnavis government.
सरकार म्हणजे आम्ही शिवसेना इथे आहोत आणि शिवसेना म्हणून काम करत राहू. काही जणांना जे राक्षसी महत्वाकांक्षा होत्या आता त्यांनी वेगळा उल्लेख केला. चार्टर प्लेन, हॉटेल, त्याचा खर्च कुठून झाला हे पण माहिती नाही आम्हाला. जर न्याय प्रक्रियेबद्दल आपण बघाल विश्वास असेल आणि विश्वास ठेवावंसं वाटत असेल तर शिवसेना म्हणून आम्ही जे आहोत आमचंच म्हणणं ऐकलं.
Speaker elections were crucial for all sides. Shinde government may have got a leg up in the disqualification war by electing the speaker. With numbers firmly on Shinde's side, can Uddhav save his Sena? With Mustafa Sheikh and Vidya in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
Mustafa Sheikh is joining us live from outside the Vidhan Bhavan in Mumbai. All eyes, of course, are going to be in the assembly proceedings this morning. Mustafa, good morning. We understand leaders are now trickling into the assembly. As far as the floor test itself is concerned, it looks like it will be smooth sailing for the BJP Shinde Sena side. But there will be repercussions of this vote, particularly of how the Uddhav Sena chooses to vote in this proceeding, in this trust vote.
Yes, Akshata, because since a new speaker has been elected and he was a BJP MLA, so the tables have now turned and notices have been issued to the Uddhav section Sena MLAs because the Vidhan Bhavan has recognized that Eknath Shinde and he's the CLP leader of Shiv Sena and the chief whip is Bharat Gokhale. So two people who are appointed by Uddhav have now been unrecognized by the Vidhan Bhavan. So the tables have turned and now it looks like the MLAs which stayed with Uddhav Thackeray are the rebel MLAs. So we'll have to see the same at the floor test. Now whip will be issued by the Eknath Shinde camp and if not followed then the process of disqualification of the Uddhav Thackeray camp MLAs including Aditya Thackeray can start by the assembly speaker. The speaker has just entered. The floor test, it's likely that Eknath Shinde and Devendra Fadnavis will clear given the numbers for the speaker's test yesterday, but the legality of this entire issue of Eknath Shinde going, having a rebellion, becoming a chief minister, not leaving the party, what does the constitution say about all these things is something which will be decided in the Supreme Court. Back to you.
And let's also focus, Mustafa, stay on with me. Let's focus on the other aspect of the Maharashtra story that we're tracking, which is the demand at this point for a truce, for a patch-up between Uddhav Sena and Shinde Sena. This particular demand is coming from MPs, members of parliament who are backing Uddhav Thackeray. They're saying, reach out to Eknath Shinde. Let's ensure that there is some sort of a reconciliation. Why? They're saying because the BMC elections are drawing close. It's slated to happen somewhere near September, and they believe that votes will be largely divided if Shiv Sena is divided the way it is currently into two. They say that a reconciliation, a patch-up will help both factions. And also keep in mind that for, in fact, Uddhav Thackeray, the support of these MPs is extremely crucial. So he will give a serious thought into what they say. But right now, what we're hearing is that everyone's being non-committal on any proposition of a patch-up, of a reconciliation. Not just the Uddhav Sena, but also the Shinde Sena. They're not really for a reconciliation at this point. They want to see how this will play out going forward, which means perhaps it will move to the Election Commission. But let's focus on what's expected in the Assembly and that trust vote. What are the numbers like? Does it look like the Maha Vikas Aghadi, the Uddhav Sena, the NCP Congress have the numbers at all to provide any sort of upset to the BJP and Shinde Sena? Let's focus on the numbers. 2 NCP MLAs are COVID positive, so they will not be there. 2 Congress MLAs are abroad. So in all, the strength is down from 287 to 283. This is also because you've got 2 leaders who are behind bars and will be unable to vote. So the majority mark in such a circumstance comes down to 142. Let's focus on the numbers party-wise now. On this side, you have the Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena, the Uddhav Sena at 16, because most of the MLAs have moved to this side. The NCP Congress, their numbers are intact, except for the few that I told you about being COVID positive, some in jail, etc. Their numbers 51-42, as well as other smaller parties and independents, their numbers are at 12. In all, it's a 121. I told you that the majority mark is 143, so they're woefully short of that. What about the Shinde BJP side? The BJP has 113 MLAs. This is BJP plus. 39 is Shinde Sena's numbers. These are MLAs, in fact, from Uddhav Thackeray's side who switched over. 8 independents, 2 from the Prahar party, which means that their number comes to 162, way above the majority mark. So if you look at it right now, the way it is currently, it looks almost impossible for Uddhav Sena, the NCP or the Congress to provide any sort of upset. It's going to be a walk in the park essentially for Devendra Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde. Let's cut across to some other stories coming in this morning. Hugely controversial statement that's been made by DMK's A. Raja, where he's in fact warned that if nothing is done to ensure autonomy of the state by the Modi government, he will and the DMK will be forced to demand for a separate state. This is an absolute shocker from A. Raja. He's saying that Periyar wanted a separate state. Don't make us take his path. I plead with Modi and Amit Shah, give us state autonomy. In fact, he's gone ahead and said, don't make us demand for a separate state. He's saying that this is a demand Periyar had put forth. Don't make us also make a similar pitch. And the DMK MP then goes on to push for autonomy for the state of Tamil Nadu. Listen into exactly what A. Raja said.
ஏதோ முதலமைச்சர் இருக்கிறார், நாங்கள் ஆளுங்கட்சியில் இருக்கிறோம் என்கின்ற திமிரோடு பேசவில்லை. தனித்தமிழ்நாடு கோரிக்கையை கைவிட்டு திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகம் மாநில சுயாட்சிக்கு வந்துவிட்டது. ஆனால் எங்களுடைய தத்துவத்தின் பிதாமகனாக தந்தை பெரியார் சாகர வரை தனித்தமிழ்நாடு கேட்டார். அவர் இறப்பதற்கு முன்னால் 3 மாதத்திற்கு முன்னால் செப்டம்பர் மாதம் 17ஆம் தேதி அவருடைய பிறந்த நாளுக்கு விடுதலையிலே ஒரு அறிக்கை எழுதினார். அதிலே சொன்னார், இந்தியாவில் இருக்கிற வரை இந்து மதம் என்னை சூத்திரனாக வைத்திருக்கும். சுதந்திர தமிழ்நாடு தான் நம்முடைய கடைசி நேர்வு என்று பெரியார் சொன்னார். பெரியாரை முழுமையாக ஏற்றுக்கொண்ட நாங்கள் அதிலே இருந்து விலகி ஜனநாயகத்திற்காக இந்திய நாட்டுடைய ஒருமைப்பாட்டுக்காக சற்று விலகி தந்தையையும் ஒதுக்கி வைத்துவிட்டு இந்தியா வாழ்க என்று சொன்னோம், சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். நான் அமித்ஷாவுக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், பிரதமருக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், மெத்த பணிவன்போடு சொல்லுகிறேன், உங்களை பணிந்து கெஞ்சி கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன்.
Give us state autonomy or we'll push for a separate state. This is the message from A. Raja. Let me bring in Mr. Narayan Tirupati of the BJP on this broadcast. Sir, good morning. What do you make of this comment by A. Raja? He's saying that the central government must ensure that there's state autonomy. Otherwise, we'll be forced to push for a separate state. That's something that Periyar also wanted.
No, the speech from Raja is not a big surprise, but the more shocking news is that he spoke that in front of the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Mr. N.K. Stalin. That is the thing. See, DMK is known for its divisive nature. DMK is known because Ivera had said that he had demanded the British not to go away from Tamil Nadu even if they leave India entirely. So that is what the DMK is. They are also trying to create this, separatism regularly. Even Mr. Stalin, before elections, he had said that the Dravida Nadu, which was demanded by the DK during, right from independence, is not yet over. That's what Mr. Stalin had said. So this is the ideology of DMK. DMK is ideologically, it's a divisive party. And there is no surprise that Mr. Raja had said. But I think as a member of parliament, he should not have spoken like that. As a chief minister, Mr. Stalin should have definitely objected to this. But we know DMK, I think the parliament, the other things, definitely they should take care of. We strongly condemn the way Mr. Raja has said this. And also we strongly condemn the chief minister for listening very patiently about all this.
So, Mr. Narayan Tirupati of the BJP, they're saying that Chief Minister M.K. Stalin was there. He didn't intervene. He didn't stop Raja from making this kind of a comment. And Raja went on to even say that we will push for a separate state if nothing is done. This is happening at a grand DMK event. And there was zero outrage from Chief Minister M.K. Stalin or from all the other dignitaries who were seated on stage there with A. Raja when he made this comment. It's well known, Mr. Narayan Tirupati, that the Stalin government has had their problems with the central government. But this is clearly taking things too far. You're hitting the idea of one nation by making this kind of a pitch.
Yes, that's what DMK does always. Because 2 days back, Mr. Stalin had tweeted saying that it is his government, the Tamil Nadu has come to the 3rd position for ease of doing business in India. So when Mr. Stalin says this, Mr. Raja says that, the economy of Tamil Nadu will be very bad if it is aligned with India. That is what Mr. Raja had said today. So there is a contradiction, between the Chief Minister's tweet and also Mr. Raja's statement yesterday. But DMK is known for this. They are trying to hide their problems. The problem is not with the central government. The problem is the state government. The state government has failed miserably in the last 1 year. There is no economic development in the state of Tamil Nadu. The law and order is deteriorating every day. Even yesterday morning, there was a person who was stabbed by some goondas in Chennai city, and lockup deaths are happening, and problems to women are happening, and absolutely the government is struggling to manage its finance. So this is the problem. In order to divert that issue, emotionally they are trying to instigate the people of Tamil Nadu. But I think they will definitely fail, as E.V. Ramaswamy failed, as Mr. Annadurai failed, as Mr. Karunanidhi had failed.
What's shocking, again, I want to highlight here, the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin was on stage listening to Raja saying this and didn't intervene. Does the Dravida Munnetra Karagam back what Raja has said when he says, don't push us to demand a separate state and push for what Periyar always stood for? Mr. Sumant C. Raman is also with us on this broadcast. Just stay with me, Sumant. I want to play out what exactly Raja said first for our viewers.
ஏதோ முதலமைச்சர் இருக்கிறார், நாங்கள் ஆளுங்கட்சியில் இருக்கிறோம் என்கின்ற திமிரோடு பேசவில்லை. தனித்தமிழ்நாடு கோரிக்கையை கைவிட்டு திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகம் மாநில சுயாட்சிக்கு வந்துவிட்டது. ஆனால் எங்களுடைய தத்துவத்தின் பிதாமகனாக தந்தை பெரியார் சாகர வரை தனித்தமிழ்நாடு கேட்டார். அவர் இறப்பதற்கு முன்னால் 3 மாதத்திற்கு முன்னால் செப்டம்பர் மாதம் 17ஆம் தேதி பிறந்த நாளுக்கு விடுதலையிலே ஒரு அறிக்கை எழுதினார். அதிலே சொன்னார், இந்தியாவில் இருக்கிற வரை இந்து மதம் என்னை சூத்திரனாக வைத்திருக்கும், சுதந்திர தமிழ்நாடு தான் நம்முடைய கடைசி நேர்வு என்று பெரியார் சொன்னார். பெரியாரை முழுமையாக ஏற்றுக்கொண்ட நாங்கள் அதிலே இருந்து விலகி ஜனநாயகத்திற்காக, இந்திய நாட்டுடைய ஒருமைப்பாட்டுக்காக சற்று விலகி தந்தையையும் ஒதுக்கி வைத்துவிட்டு இந்தியா வாழ்க என்று சொன்னோம், சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். நான் அமித்ஷாவுக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், பிரதமருக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், மெத்த பணிவன்போடு சொல்லுகிறேன், உங்களை பணிந்து கெஞ்சி கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன்.
Okay, let me take this across now to Mr. C. Rajshekharan, who's joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Rajshekharan, good morning. I hope you will condemn what A. Raja has said here, the DMK MP, when he says don't push us to demand for separate statehood for Tamil Nadu.
Let us see this whole episode with an unbiased mind. Yesterday, I incidentally happened to visit the Twitter space of right-wing people who are conducting Twitter. They were openly declaring that central and northern Tamil Nadu has become Hindu Rashtra. People of India in north have accepted the Hindutva ideology. So Hindutva ideology has become the new norm, and except Tamil Nadu and Kerala. This is the statement from all right-wing supporters and RSS BJP followers. So going by that merit, what Mr. Raja has said is the majority opinion of the people of Tamil Nadu.
No, one second, sir, one second. What are you drawing a parallel with some saying Hindutva ideology is alive, and one leader here saying that, we should ensure that we push for a separate state for Tamil Nadu. You're saying that that's the sentiment in Tamil Nadu. I'm from the state, sir. That's not the sentiment.
No, I'll tell you, Akshita, you have mistook the whole episode of what Raja has spoken. The Raja said we had left the whole ideology of Periyar. Even a father's advice was kept aside, and we followed the opinion and the ideology of Anna, who said we are all together. India is one state.
Great. So now, but your warning, sir, great. But that's followed by a warning where A. Raja is saying don't make us push for it.
No, I'll tell you, A. Raja has only brought out the opinions of generally what people feel. It is not the
Who is feeling this? Mr. Rajshekharan, who is feeling this? People of Tamil Nadu are not feeling this, sir. Let's not make a generalized sweeping statement. I'm from the state. People are not feeling this. So who is feeling this?
No, I'll tell you, it is not that, it is not a warning. You should take it as a suggestion. You should not impose. You should not impose. You should not threaten. You should not show
Sir,
your
if he
attitude
says, give
towards-
us something or we will do this, that's a warning. That's
No,
a
no,
threat.
no.
That's
No,
not a
what-
suggestion.
What the right-wing supporters and the RSS supporters are openly declaring is being rebutted.
So
with a
if someone
subtle manner.
is declaring Hindutva ideology is spreading versus another person is saying make this a separate state, how is that the same thing?
No, don't force us to ask for a separate state. That was the statement of Ray Raja.
That is a threat. Mr. Rajshekharan, that is a threat. That is a warning.
It can be.
That is a warning and a threat and a clear message that the DMK is willing to do it.
No, Akshita, you can understand it the way you have understood, and we can understand it the way I have understood.
Okay,
I have only said, I understand that he has only said, don't force us to bring back the ideology of Periyar and ask for a separate state.
Okay, so you're seeing it, sir. You're seeing, Mr. Rajshekharan, fair enough. You are saying you view this as a suggestion. Let our viewers decide what they think. This is the messaging from A. Raja, saying Periyar stood for a separate statehood for Tamil Nadu. Don't make us do that. Now, our viewers can decide if that's a suggestion or if it's a threat. I want to bring in Sumant C. Raman also on this. Mr. Sumant C. Raman, how do you view this? Do you think it's a suggestion or it's a clear warning and a threat that the DMK is willing to go to that, to push for separate statehood for Tamil Nadu?
No, I clearly see this as a warning or a threat of sort. But the only interesting thing is that the point is whether Mr. Raja was trying to embarrass the Chief Minister. Mr. Raja has been sidelined within the party and has been sulking of sorts. So one has to wait and see whether this is an attempt to sort of, whether he was speaking the Chief Minister's voice or whether he was trying to embarrass the Chief Minister on the platform. So but certainly it's unacceptable that boat has sailed long ago. Nobody in Tamil Nadu wants to talk of separate, nationhood and all that today, and except the fringe groups. And if the DMK thinks that this is going to get them votes, God help them. This won't.
But the reality is, Mr. Sumant C. Raman, the reality is, Mr. N.K. Stalin, the Chief Minister, was on stage when A. Raja was speaking. He didn't intervene. He didn't stop him at all. Didn't object to what A. Raja said.
I'm not too sure that Mr. Stalin wants to be going down that path because on a couple of occasions he has already said that the DMK is sort of committed to the structure of the country and so on. So I'm not too sure he endorses Mr. Raja. But the fact that a senior leader like Mr. Raja can on stage make such a statement with a attempt to not be contradicted itself speaks volumes of where the DMK is heading. I think this is a party and hopefully they will step back.
This is a self-goal. Let's be very clear. This is not a sentiment that the people of Tamil Nadu will back in any way. No matter what anyone tells you, that is simply the truth. That this is a comment, a stray, loose comment by a DMK MP. The unfortunate reality is that the Chief Minister was seated there and didn't intervene. But there has to be damage control here by the DMK. Let me take this once also to Mr. Narayan Tirupati of the BJP, who's been with us on this broadcast. Mr. Tirupati, you've heard all the comments that have come in. There is also, this sentiment that Mr. Rajshekharan also put out, saying this was a suggestion. This was, in fact, a suggestion sent across to the central government because the centre doesn't give autonomy to the state to take decisions or help in the development and welfare of the state.
In the independent India, this is the first government which has given more autonomy to the states, whether it is GST or whether it is any policy matters, whether people welfare schemes, anything is being consulted with all the states. And I think, as I rightly said, Mr. Stalin has been tweeting that Tamil Nadu is competing with all major states. So that itself says that proper autonomy is given and proper rights are being done in Tamil Nadu. But it is not surprising to see Mr. Rajshekhar to talk about these things because he is a DMK supporter, known for about his stance always. So there is no surprise. If somebody is going to talk about Hindutva or right wing and all those things, I am not here to answer all those things. BJP very clearly condemns the way Mr. Raja said, the way Mr. Stalin keeping quiet on this. It very clearly shows that the DMK is trying to hide or bury its failures in the last 1 year, and they are trying to instigate people in the name of language, race, and religion. That's what they have been doing regularly, and now also they are trying to do. They will fail automatically because people know about the way they behave, the way they talk. And the failure of DMK's government in the last 1 year, the law and order problem, deteriorating law and order problem, and also the Tamil Nadu's degrowth in the economy.
Yeah.
All these put together, they are confused and they are trying to do something. But I think it will be taken very seriously by the center. It should be taken very seriously by the center.
Okay, Mr. Narayan Tirupati, appreciate you joining us on this broadcast. The BJP is saying that the DMK isn't focusing on the issues that matter, on the issues that affect people of Tamil Nadu. And yet you have comments like this being made by DMK MP A. Raja. The BJP is saying this is a diversionary tactic. But whatever it is, it's extremely serious when an MP, a member of parliament, mind you, makes this kind of a comment saying Periyar wanted a separate state, don't make us push for it, which means the DMK is willing to go to that extent, is willing to walk that extra mile of pushing for a separate state and successionism. Let's play out for you exactly what A. Raja said.
ஏதோ முதலமைச்சர் இருக்கிறார், நாங்கள் ஆளுங்கட்சியில் இருக்கிறோம் என்கின்ற திமிரோடு பேசவில்லை. தனித்தமிழ்நாடு கோரிக்கையை கைவிட்டு திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகம் மாநில சுயாட்சிக்கு வந்துவிட்டது. ஆனால் எங்களுடைய தத்துவத்தின் பிதாமகனாக தந்தை பெரியார் சாகர வரை தனித்தமிழ்நாடு கேட்டார். அவர் இறப்பதற்கு முன்னால் 3 மாதத்திற்கு முன்னால் செப்டம்பர் மாதம் 17ஆம் தேதி அவருடைய பிறந்த நாளுக்கு விடுதலையிலே ஒரு அறிக்கை எழுதினார். அதிலே சொன்னார், இந்தியாவில் இருக்கிற வரை இந்து மதம் என்னை சூத்திரனாக வைத்திருக்கும், சுதந்திர தமிழ்நாடு தான் நம்முடைய கடைசி நேர்வு என்று பெரியார் சொன்னார். பெரியாரை முழுமையாக ஏற்றுக்கொண்ட நாங்கள் அதிலே இருந்து விலகி ஜனநாயகத்திற்காக, இந்திய நாட்டுடைய ஒருமைப்பாட்டுக்காக சற்று விலகி தந்தையையும் ஒதுக்கி வைத்துவிட்டு இந்தியா வாழ்க என்று சொன்னோம், சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். நான் அமித்ஷாவுக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், பிரதமருக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், மெத்த பணிவன்போடு சொல்லுகிறேன், உங்களை பணிந்து கெஞ்சி கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன்.
And that's a story we'll continue tracking very closely and get you all the reactions from political parties. I'm slipping into a short break here on India Today. Coming up on the other side, we're getting you details of the investigation into the killing of a chemist in Amravati over his post where he backed Nupur Sharma.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171.
Nos sentimos muy bien, ya no hay restricciones, no tenemos que llevar mascarilla, nos sentimos libres.
एक भी
With every sunrise comes new beginnings, new opportunities and new stories. And that's why we're first up. India Today. I'm Akshita Nathagopal. While you're sleeping, we're hard at work to ensure you get the perfect news shot every morning. Get you all the updates. Our morning mission to get you news that's fresh and packed with flavor. Watch First Up every weekday morning with me, Akshita Nathagopal, right here on India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Kerala's public health. All political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
You are watching India Today.
There's a controversy brewing over the poster of a documentary film in which goddess Kaali is seen smoking. There's massive outrage over this poster. Filmmaker Leena Manimekalai has drawn flag for deliberately hurting Hindu sentiments with this poster of goddess Kaali smoking. You see that on your screens. She had recently taken to social media to share the poster of her upcoming documentary film. The poster, which has left netizens fuming, shows a woman dressed in the costume of the Hindu goddess and smoking a cigarette in the photo. Activist Rahul Ishwar, among many others, slammed the filmmaker, urged that the posters be taken down. The filmmaker, Leena Manimekalai, has also commented, taking to social media. She said that once the film is out, once people see it, they will stop spreading hate, they will stop questioning me and instead love the film.
We are living in a small, very interconnected world. Unless we have sensitivity to each other, how do we exist? Leena's Kaali poster is absolutely insensitive, irresponsible, so I hope such kind of hate posters are not encouraged. I humbly request Aga Khan Museum and all the others who are associating with this to dissociate with them, and hope legal action be taken against Leena for having such hate posters.
So Rahul Ishwar there slamming this particular poster, as are many other activists who have also questioned what is the intention behind putting up this kind of a controversial, objectionable and incendiary poster shot out. Pramod Madhav is joining us with more details on this. Growing demand on social media, Pramod, for this poster to be taken down of goddess Kaali smoking a cigarette. Has the filmmaker responded to this?
Well, the filmmaker has only claimed that this is a poster about her, a kind of a short film that she's going to air pretty soon, and this is what she wanted to say, that this is about a kind of Kaali taking a stroll on the streets of Toronto, Canada in an evening, and what happens during that period. This is what something she has documented, and she's also very clearly, confidently claiming that once the short film is out, people who are now trying to trend hashtag arrest Leena Manimekalai will change their mind and they will go ahead and say, love you Leena Manimekalai. This seems to be the only explanation that is being provided by Leena Manimekalai for the point. She has tweeted this particular information, and she has also tagged her own poster on it, and she wants to give this as an explanation to it.
Okay, so she's continuing to defend this particular poster, but run us through some of the reactions that have come in from on this controversial poster. It's for an upcoming documentary, we understand. And this point, the filmmaker, as you've told us, has made it very clear that this is a needless controversy. She's also made it very clear that she's not going to withdraw the poster, yes?
Well, like the way she has provided an explanation to that, it definitely looks like she's not withdrawing it. She's only trying to provide an explanation and actually giving a kind of like understanding statement that what she has done is correct. And in fact, after the documentary is released, people will have a change of heart. This seems to be the only explanation from Leena Manimekalai for now. We are trying to reach her as well.
Okay, so we are trying to get her on record. Leena Manimekalai, the filmmaker here, has maintained that she, in fact, will not be withdrawing the poster. At least that's what it looks like going by her latest social media post. She's also said that once people see the documentary, once it's released, they'll change their mind. But right now, the poster that you see on your screens there is creating a huge controversy. There's a lot of outrage on social media with many activists, the likes of Rahul Ishwar, also speaking out and saying that this poster must be brought down. It's no joke to hurt religious sentiments. In that poster, you see a woman dressed as Goddess Kaali smoking a cigarette. And at this point, the filmmaker, who's also not new to controversy, Pramod, has said she's not going to withdraw the poster. She's saying she's going to wait for the documentary to be released. But with things going as they are, with so many reactions on social media, it's clear it's only a matter of time before there will be a lot of pressure on her, perhaps complaints also, to take down this poster.
Well, just like you mentioned, she's not new to controversy, and here also she's only trying to provide an explanation for what she has done. In fact, like you mentioned, the poster very clearly shows a woman dressed as Kaali, and she's holding a pride flag, and this is where Leena claims that this is one of the important aspects. In fact, she earlier had tweeted claiming that super thrilled to share the launch of my recent film today at Aga Khan Museum as part of Rhythms of Canada. I made this performance documentary as a cohort of for Toronto, feeling pumped with my crew. This is how she has shared the particular poster, which faced backlash, and now she has only given an explanation that once this particular documentary is released, people will have a change of heart.
Okay, so that is the reaction that's come in from Leena Manimekalai. She's made it very clear that whatever the controversy and outrage is, she's at this point not going to be withdrawing this poster. Not the first time that we've seen this kind of a controversy play out either, Pramod. There have been many such cases of films, of documentaries putting up controversial posts, having scenes or trailers that have later been clipped because of outrage of hurting religious sentiments.
And when it comes to Leena Manimekalai, she's one actually who fights for the LGBT community, and she had raised her voice several times for it. And several times she has also faced controversies due to her ideology, but at the same time she has never backed off also. So it is highly unlikely that she would remove this poster or make any changes to it. In fact, she's only giving an explanation here, just 2 lines. We are trying to reach her to get more information on this matter, but for now she has made it very clear that this is about Kaali taking a stroll.
Pramod, stay with me. Rahul Ishwar, activist, is joining us on this broadcast. Rahul, what do you have to say about this poster that's been put out before the documentary is released by Leena Manimekalai, which shows Goddess Kaali smoking a cigarette?
Indian culture and democratic norms world over says that we should respect every religion and we should not abuse any faith. Here, there is a purposeful provocation by showing Kaali smoking a cigarette. And who is Kaali? Kaali is one of the most respected and revered goddesses of Hinduism, where even Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the guru of Vivekananda, was a pujari at a Kaali temple. Kaali, or the feminine goddess, or the power of feminine, is respected worldwide. Now Leena will make all this sort of intellectual justification to say that this is done, this is being progressive. With due respect, I am a Hindu activist who respects every religion. With due respect, if the same poster had been made of holy figures of any other faith for that matter, whether it be Holy Mother Mary, whether it be Holy Hazrat Aisha, or anyone, see, it would have been caused international outrage. But Hindus are a soft target. We are an easy punching bag where people can punch us and say that they are progressive. And whenever we raise a very moderate, responsible and difference of opinion or protest, they will call us communal, they will call it bigot. This is absolutely unfortunate. Whether it is M.F. Hussain or whether it is any other artist, whether it is Leena today, see, liberty should be with responsibility. Creativity should be with sensitivity. That is the core point. Liberty and freedom we all celebrate, but responsibility and sensitivity are the catchwords of the new world. Otherwise, in such a diverse world, we won't be able to live together with each other.
Respecting all sentiments is the message you're putting out, Rahul Ishwar. I'd like to bring in also Mr. Vinod Bansal, VHP spokesperson, who's joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Bansal, there is, of course, this huge controversy right now over Nupur Sharma, the comments she made over Prophet Muhammad, hugely condemnable because it hurts religious sentiments. What do you have to say about this case, where there are some who are saying that there is certain freedom of speech, freedom, liberty to filmmakers that must be respected?
Not only this freedom of liberty to the filmmakers, but freedom of liberty to the public figures should be respected. They should respect the feeling of Nupur Sharma also. why they are cutting across the throat of the nations, and why the attack are being made on the 16-year-long the matter of confidence actually they built up between the two friends, and why this freedom of speech or freedom of expression is being killed by all the Islamic jihadist forces and anti-Hindu forces. अब मुझे बताइए आखिरकार माँ काली का अपमान क्या है, ठीक है क्या, और ये इनको समझना नहीं चाहिए क्या, ये ओछी राजनीति के लिए, ओछी पब्लिसिटी के लिए इस तरह का जो काम कर रहे हैं वो बड़ा घृणित है, और दे शुड रेस्पेक्ट द सेंटिमेंट्स ऑफ एवरीबॉडी and this expression of freedom cannot be taken for granted for one particular person or one particular community and not for the other. Hindus are being attacked severely by the time and again. But the way माँ काली को जिस तरह से उन्होंने अपना बुरी तरह से दिखाया गया है, इसकी सजा तो मिलनी चाहिए इनको. आप देखिए कि सिर्फ अरेस्ट से काम नहीं चलेगा. Severe loss of the severe implication will be there, and everybody who is involved in all those things must be punished severely.
So respecting religious sentiments is a two-way street. It's not limited to one side alone. Rahul, you wanted to make a point.
सिर्फ एक बात, दो गलत से एक सही नहीं बनता. You know, we cannot have two wrongs and make one right. Here the core point is whether it is our Ma Kali, whether it is Hazrat Aisha, whether it is Holy Mother Mary, whether it is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have to show respect. The world has to show respect. We may all have divergence of views, but every faith everywhere in the world should be respected. And please remember, I would humbly request Aga Khan Museum, who is a very eminent space. Nobody debates that. Aga Khan Museum should have been more sensitive, especially in such a troubled times in the world. We should be more sensitive, and they are a window to the Muslim civilization for the whole world. I respect that, but unfortunately, such sensitivity should be shown to us. And I'm a Hindu activist. I'm proud to belong to the group. We petitioned Indian government for banning Innocence of Muslims, a very abusive movie on Muslims and demeaning Prophet Muhammad and Holy Quran. See, the core point is disrespect to any faith everywhere is a threat to every faith everywhere. So I hope, we cannot have the formula that two wrongs will make a right. Let us respect everything, whether any figure of any faith anywhere in the world.
Okay, Rahul, stay on with us. Bansalji, I request you also to stay on with us. Ajay Gautam is joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Ajay Gautam, what do you have to say about this poster? There's a lot of activists are saying that this hurts religious sentiments. The other aspect is some are saying that you're infringing on the right to expression, on the freedom of an artist here.
No, this is not the right expression and the freedom of expression and the freedom of the creativity. This is a direct attack on the Hindu religion, and it's outrage the religious sentiments of the 100 crores Hindus of the world. Now we are in the process to file a police complaint under Section 154 CRPC in the office of the Commissioner of Delhi Police in the next couple of hours. And we will not spare these kinds of activities anymore. Because now to earn the money and for the cheap publicity, they deliberately and dare to hurt the religious sentiments of the majority of the country, because they know the Hindu are a soft caste. Whether Leena has dared to state these kind of posters with regard to any lady, any honorable lady or respected goddess of any of her religion should not, because she knows what is the result if she made this kind of poster with regard to the Hazrat Aisha and any other woman of any other belong to any other religion. Because Hindu are the soft target, everybody is taking us as a grant. So, but we are not spared this time, and we are in the process to file the police complaint in the office of the Delhi Police Commission next couple of hours.
Okay, so you're saying you're going to be approaching the courts, filing a complaint against the filmmaker here, Leena Manimekalai, for this poster of Goddess Kaali smoking a cigarette. Thanks, Rahul. Thanks, Vinod Bansalji and Mr. Ajay Gautam for joining us on this broadcast. So activists speaking out, saying this is simply not okay. You can't hurt religious sentiments of one side and think it's okay, and in that case cite freedom of expression, and in the other case say sentiments are hurt and it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable both ways for both sides. We're going to track the story very closely here on India Today. Coming up on the other side, we're getting you a sneak peek into the India Today Conclave East. The countdown is underway, and details of who will be joining us over the next 2 days coming up in just a bit.
who will capture Maharashtra and Mumbai.
2022's biggest political meltdown
Big breaking news that's coming in this morning.
began with India Today's news break.
Rumors and reports coming in of a rebellion within Shiv Sena.
Uncompromising on every twist and turn.
This meeting between NCP leaders and Shiv Sena leaders has been on.
Now they are entering the Surat airport.
Post-war now begins.
Chandrakant Patil come and join the Eknath Shinde camp.
बाप के नाम पर पार्टी बनाओ.
Now Shiv Sena is playing on the front foot.
The 3 days time has been given.
Devendra Fadnavis with governor.
The rebel MLAs, they will be taking off for Goa.
India's top team misses nothing.
Everything now, all eyes where the Supreme Court is concerned.
Forget the Supreme Court, Uddhav Thackeray has decided to resign.
Relentless politics, relentless coverage. Number 1 on non-stop Maha Thriller.
The India Today Conclave East is back, and we're having the biggest movers and shakers from the East joining us on the India Today platform. We're celebrating the vitality of the East, and here's a sneak peek.
बंगाल में अब तक कास्ट पे ज्यादा चुनाव नहीं लड़े.
बंगाल में कभी एक कास्टिज्म पॉलिटिक्स कभी हुआ ही नहीं.
You would be the designer and she could be your muse.
Chant any god's name.
Then why was she so...
The fountainhead of intellectual engagement and thought leadership. Celebrating the astonishing vitality of our East. The India Today Conclave East in Kolkata, which underlines the economic resurgence, artistic heritage and cultural engagement of the region. The 12-state region poised to become a 3 trillion economy by 2035. And this year, we have the biggest voices who shaped the political landscape, economic resurgence, artistic heritage and cultural engagement of the East. Jagdeep Dhankar, the Governor of West Bengal. Bengal Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. Actor and TMC Lok Sabha MP Nusrat Jahan. TMC's Mahua Moitra. Firebrand Congress MP Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. BJP MLA Agni Mitra Paul. Conrad Sangma, Chief Minister Meghalaya. Actors Rajkumar Rao, Raima Sen, Pauli Dam, Riddhi Sen, Arindam Sil. Devdutt Patnaik, mythologist and author. And top policy analysts and officials.
Keeping the women back.
India Today Group will also showcase the unexplored Northeast through a new digital venture, India Today NE, the English language website and multilingual video platform, first ever by a national media house, will bridge the gap between the so-called mainstream India and the Northeast. Tune in to India Today Television and our digital platforms for the biggest, grandest and most prestigious event in India's East.
And that's all we have time for on this broadcast. Stay with us here on India Today as we continue getting you all the top stories.
The global oil market has been reconfigured after the Ukraine-Russia war. For instance, energy-hungry Europe relied a lot on Russian oil, but after their boycott, African suppliers have stepped in. Now, Moscow has shifted its focus to supplying its crude to Asia after feeling the might of heavy Western sanctions. This very instance of supply reshuffle has shaken the global oil trade. In fact, the shock is even bigger than the United States of America's shale revolution, which significantly increased its production of oil and natural gas. And Russia might just be lucky in the shifting supply chain as long as Asia, India and China in particular keep buying its crude at a steep discount. Experts are saying that Russian exports were back to pre-invasion levels. Oil prices even stabilized from $139 a barrel to $110 a barrel. So if the expert analysis is to be factored in, the EU ban on Russian oil will not hurt Moscow as long as the Asian demand is there. The only way the Asian connection can be severed is through diplomatic pressure on Asian buyers.
Berger Easy Clean. No dag, no dhabba. Only beautiful walls.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events, the true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter,
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
of those who should matter, I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth. The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again. I hustle for the truth, on the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs. I inform you to make you see the point.
To the Point with Preeti Chaudhary. At these times, only on India Today.
In association with NetMeds, India की अपनी फार्मेसी, LIC, हर पल आपके साथ, जियो मार्ट, हर घर का मार्ट.
Hello, very good morning. You're watching India's Agenda. This is India Today. I'm Sneha Moldani. The headlines this Monday morning. Separatism shocker from DMK MP A. Raja and presence of Chief Minister Stalin. Threatens centre says provide Tamil Nadu with autonomy or DMK will push a separate Tamil nation. Boost to Eknath Shinde ahead of trust vote. Speaker gives nod to Maharashtra Chief Minister as the real Shiv Sena leader. 16 Uddhav loyalist MLAs face disqualification heat. Furor over cold-blooded murder of Amravati chemist Umesh Kolhe. NIA to seek custody of 6 accused. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Fadnavis says agencies are probing international link. Gyanvapi showdown in Varanasi court again. Muslim side to present arguments against maintainability. Hindu side to seek right to pray at Sringar Gauri temple. Filmmaker Leena Mekalai under fire over poster of a film that shows goddess Kaali smoking. Hindu group C Red claims sentiments trampled. India Today Conclave East is back, celebrating the vitality of the East. The platform will see biggest voices like Mamata Banerjee, Himanta Biswa Sarma and many other gracing the stage. DMK MP A. Raja made a shocking statement while with the Chief Minister on stage. Addressing a gathering, Raja urged the centre not to force the DMK to revive the demand for a separate Tamil Nadu by denying its state autonomy. He said that Periyar always demanded a separate Tamil Nadu, issuing a blackmail. He also went on to say that the centre should not push them to the point where the demand of a separate state like Tamil Nadu is made once again just like Periyar did. He went on to say that DMK won't stop its fight until state autonomy was granted by the centre.
ஏதோ முதலமைச்சர் இருக்கிறார், நாங்கள் ஆளுங்கட்சியில் இருக்கிறோம் என்கின்ற திமிரோடு பேசவில்லை. தனித்தமிழ்நாடு கோரிக்கையை கைவிட்டு திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகம் மாநில சுயாட்சிக்கு வந்துவிட்டது. ஆனால் எங்களுடைய தத்துவத்தின் பிதாமகனாக தந்தை பெரியார் சாகர வரை தனித்தமிழ்நாடு கேட்டார். அவர் இறப்பதற்கு முன்னால் 3 மாதத்திற்கு முன்னால் செப்டம்பர் மாதம் 17ஆம் தேதி அவருடைய பிறந்த நாளுக்கு விடுதலையிலே ஒரு அறிக்கை எழுதினார். அதிலே சொன்னார், இந்தியாவில் இருக்கிற வரை இந்து மதம் என்னை சூத்திரனாக வைத்திருக்கும், சுதந்திர தமிழ்நாடு தான் நம்முடைய கடைசி நேர்வு என்று பெரியார் சொன்னார். பெரியாரை முழுமையாக ஏற்றுக்கொண்ட நாங்கள் அதிலே இருந்து விலகி ஜனநாயகத்திற்காக இந்திய நாட்டுடைய ஒருமைப்பாட்டுக்காக சற்று விலகி தந்தையையும் ஒதுக்கி வைத்துவிட்டு இந்தியா வாழ்க என்று சொன்னோம், சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். நான் அமித்ஷாவுக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், பிரதமருக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், மெத்த பணிவன்போடு சொல்லுகிறேன், உங்களை பணிந்து கெஞ்சி கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன்.
So I clearly see this as a warning or a threat of God. But the only interesting thing is that the point is whether Mr. Raja was trying to embarrass the Chief Minister. Mr. Raja has been sidelined within the party and has been sulking of sorts. So one has to wait and see whether this is an attempt to sort of whether he was speaking the Chief Minister's voice or whether he was trying to embarrass the Chief Minister on the platform. So but certainly it's unacceptable that boat has sailed long ago. Nobody in Tamil Nadu wants to talk of separate, nationhood and all that today, and except the fringe groups. And if the DMK thinks that this is going to get them votes, God help them. This won't.
See, Raja said we had left the whole ideology of Periyar. Even a father's advice was kept aside, and we followed the opinion and the ideology of Anna, who said we are all together. India is one state. So now A. Raja has only brought out the opinions of generally what people feel. It is not the warning. It is not that it is not a warning. You should take it as a suggestion. You should not impose. You should not impose. You should not threaten. You should not show your attitude towards the people.
Well, these were some controversial comments made by A. Raja, DMK leader, former Union Minister, UPA 1 and 2. And this is what he said. Do not force us to revive the demand for a separate state. Even Periyar wanted the same. It remains to be seen how the state government reacts to this, given that Chief Minister M.K. Stalin was on the stage when Raja made these comments. Political observers, of course, say that this is not something that is going to gain traction in terms of voters supporting the DMK, because this isn't an issue anymore in the state. This is a separatist call that has been made by A. Raja, prominent leader of the DMK and former Union Minister. Pramod Madhav is in Chennai, getting us more details on that story. Pramod, what are your sources really within the state government telling you about this statement, and how are they viewing it? Are they embarrassed, or is this endorsement?
It is extremely a scandalous statement made by A. Raja, and the shocking part was that he made it in a stage that was also shared by the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin yesterday at Namakkal. There are several questions DMK has to provide an explanation. However, for now, DMK is only trying to state that this was actually A. Raja trying to say that DMK government will demand for state autonomy, and he was only trying to explain this, but in the words of Periyar, and he was only trying to say that though the ideological head of DMK, which was Periyar, earlier only demanded separate state, claiming that these are the words of A. Raja, who said that until he is a part of India, Hinduism will only keep him as a Shudra, a Panchama, and there will not be any equal opportunity for jobs or economical growth. This is why Periyar wanted a separate state, but we wanted to leave that particular opinion because for democracy and for the unity of India, do not make us demand a separate state once again. This is how A. Raja gave an explanation, made that speech over there, but DMK is only trying to say that A. Raja was only trying to speak about state autonomy and the need for it.
You know, but Pramod, give us an idea about why at this point in time such a statement was made by Raja. It's not like they're looking at, attracting voters to them. It's not like an election year. What do you make of this sudden sort of statement or demand that has been made by Raja?